You know what's a strange feeling? You have worked towards something for months, maybe years, and you finally get it. And there's like this beat, this pause, where you are waiting for the feeling to arrive, and it just doesn't. And you think, was that it? Most people don't talk about that moment because it sounds ungrateful. It sounds like a problem with you, not with life. But I think that moment is actually one of the most philosophically honest experience a human being can have. And today we are going to look at it directly. 1942, World War II is happening, Europe is burning, and this 29-year-old Algerian French writer named Albert Camus publishes two things at the same time: a novel, A Stranger, and a philosophical essay, The Myth of Sisyphus. And he opens the essay with this line: there is but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. Now, before you clock out, he's not being edgy. Rather, he's being precise. What he's actually asking is this: if life has no built in meaning, if the universe doesn't owe you a purpose or a reason or an explanation of your suffering, then on what basis you keep on going? That was the question, and Camus thought everything in philosophy, ethics, politics, all of it is secondary until you have answered the first one up. So he goes on looking for an answer, and what he finds becomes absurdism. Absurd is not a synonym for meaninglessness. You can call that nihilism, but absurdism is different. While nihilism is a completely different philosophy and has a different conclusion, the absurd is something more precise. It's a collision between two things. The first, you are a creature who needs meaning. And I don't mean wants, I mean needs. You cannot move through your life as a neutral observer. You interpret everything, every loss, every win. You are always asking why. You can't switch that off because that's how your consciousness works. Second, the world has absolutely nothing to say back to you. Now, obviously, not in a cruel way or deliberately, it's just because it's indifferent. You can ask the biggest question a human can ask, and you'll still get nothing. Just the sound of your own question echoing back. That gap, the desperate need for an answer, and the silence that greets it, is absurdism. That's the absurd. Not the silence alone, not the need alone. The fact that both exist at the same time inside you and there's no way to make them fit. That's what Camus was pointing at. Now, to explain what you are supposed to do with this, Camus brings up a story: Sisyphus, king of the Corinth. In Greek mythology, he is the craftiest human who ever lived. He cheated death twice. First time, he literally chained up Thanatos, the god of death, so nobody could die. Gods had to intervene to free him. Second time, he talked his way out of the underworld and just didn't go back. The gods sat down and designed a punishment for him. The punishment was to push a boulder up a mountain and watch it roll back down, walk back down, and push it up again. No finish line, no purpose, no end. Just that forever. Now, on the surface, that reads as pure torture, which is the point. It was meant to be. But Camus was not interested in pushing, he was interested in one specific moment: the walk back down, the quiet descent. Sisyphus watching the boulder settle at the bottom, knowing exactly what comes next. No illusions here, no hope that this time it'll stay on the top, full, completely aware of his existence as it is. And Camus asks, what is he thinking right now? His answer is the entire philosophy in 4 words. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, not defeated, not pretending, not numb, but happy. And this is not a joke or a paradox to sound clever. This is an actual argument because Sisyphus sees his condition with total clarity and he still owns it anyway. The rock is his, the mountain is his, the absurdity is his. Nobody handed a false reason to him to keep going. He doesn't need one. That's the image Camus wants you to sit with. So when you actually confront the absurd, when you really look at it and don't flinch, Camus says there are only three ways in which a person would respond. First, physical escape. He takes the idea seriously that death is a logical response to meaninglessness, and then he rejects it. Not because life is secretly meaningful, but because dying to escape a question doesn't answer it. You have just ended the person asking. Second, philosophical escape. He calls this the leap, and this is where most people go. You feel the silence, you feel the gap, you jump over it into religion, into ideology, into belief that suffering is meaningful, that history is moving towards justice, that everything happens for a reason. And look, Camus isn't mocking any of that. He does understand why people do it, but he calls it dishonest because you are not closing the gap, you are just choosing to stop looking at it, and the absurd is still there. Third, revolt. You hold both things at once, the need, the silence, the unresolvable tension between them. You see it clearly, you don't escape it out of fear, you don't fill it with something false, and you keep going anyway without any illusions, fully awake. That's Sisyphus on the walk back down. Two things that this gets confused with constantly: nihilism. Nihilism looks at no inherent meaning and concludes nothing matters. Camus explicitly rejected this. The absence of given meaning is where the conversation actually starts, not where it ends. Nihilism just collapses. Absurdism stands up inside the collapse. Secondly, existentialism. Camus gets grouped with Sartre all the time. They were friends, then famously weren't, and the part of that falling out was philosophical. Sartre said, no inherent meaning, so create your own. You are radically free, build yourself, author your life. Camus said, that's just another leap. You are still filling the silence instead of honestly living inside it. The absurd hero doesn't replace God with personal meaning. He just stays in it, eyes open, awake. So, absurdism. It is a philosophical position that there is irreconcilable collision at the center of human nature between what we are and what the world is, and that the honest response is not to resolve it, not to escape it, but to live inside it, fully conscious of it. It is not pessimism, it is not nihilism. More importantly, it is not dressed up self help.